Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so we got a brand new chapter out, and to start the chapter off, we got this beautifully done colored page of my two favorite female characters in the entire series, Noelle and Mimosa on the front cover. And it's basically, at first glance, when you see this colored page, you're thinking, alright, it's just here to kind of represent the fact that, we're switching seasons from summer into fall. But at the same time, if you read the text, you can see that's actually kind of foreshadowing the fact, or foreshadowing what's actually going to be the kind of main plot of the ending of the chapter and going into the next week's chapter, which is basically showing the fact that Noelle's kind of changed. Because if you read the text, it basically reads out, just like the seasons, a girl can change in the blink of an eye. And I really don't want to go too much into it right now, but basically this kind of just foreshadows the fact that the main plot, or at least the main plot at the ending of this chapter, is going to be the fact that, Noelle's siblings are going to see that she's kind of changed from the weak little sibling that they used to bully in the beginning of the series to who she is now. Anyway, we start the chapter off and we see basically the two teams that we had at the end of the last chapter finally meeting up. And we get this kind of like cute little funny moment with Finral and Noelle seeing the two of them finally interact again after the Royal Knights tournament when Finral kind of went into a coma. I wouldn't really say coma because I'm not exactly sure how much time passed from the ending of that tournament to, well, from when he went into basically the coma to when they started the mission. But anyway, he basically, the two of them are talking. He's basically apologizing for, kind of worrying her, kind of flirting with her at the same time. And Noelle's in her tsundere mode. She's basically telling him to shut up, that she didn't really care about the fact that he was injured, and the fact that, if he's awake now, he better fight as hard as he did sleep. While at the same time in her head, she's basically, saying, oh my God, I'm so worried about you. I'm glad to see you're safe. Basically showing that she actually does care about him. Because, it's a friend. It's one of the few friends she actually has in the entire world. So, of course, she was worried about him. The fact that, he was injured and he hadn't woken up yet. Seeing him alive or seeing the fact that he's awake now is, just a big weight off her shoulders. And you know what? Speaking of weight, Yami decides to take on a huge load of weight onto himself in this chapter by deciding that he's kind of gonna take charge of both teams in this chapter. Like literally, as soon as the two teams finally intersect with each other, like finally meet up at the front of the castle, Yami takes charge. He basically becomes the leader of the entire group and basically gives a rundown to to Noelle and Noelle and all the other people that came in with them, and basically says, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna split up into teams and we're going to prioritize saving civilians over fighting the elves. So make sure your main concern is saving the civilians. And we're going to go in here and we're going to do what we have to do as Magic Knights. And basically everyone's kind of looking at him, especially Noelle and Jack are basically looking at him like, Yami, since when the fuck are you a leader? Like seriously, they're looking at him like, since when are you taking charge? Why are you the one stepping up to take charge right now? What makes you think we're going to listen to you? And Yami's kind of ignoring their arguments and, ignoring the fact that they're complaining about basically him giving out all the orders, and he's continuing to give out the orders, basically saying this is what we gotta do. Let's go do this. He doesn't give anyone a chance to basically argue against him for too long. They split up into three teams, and they all go off to do their jobs. And I gotta say, and this is probably this chapter is probably the most serious I have seen Yami take his job in this entire series. And I gotta say this entire scene right here, I think is basically Tabata Yuki's foreshadowing the fact that I think Yami actually might become the next Magic Emperor. And you know what? It actually would make a lot of sense if he actually did end up becoming the next Magic Emperor. Because we did get that scene basically when Julius died. He was the one next to Julius when Julius finally passed away. And Julius told him in his dying breath that he's leaving everything. He's leaving the rest to Yami. So it would make sense that he would be taking up kind of like his mentor, his kind of closest friend's mantle in his death. And Yami actually was one of the two characters who I was predicting would end up becoming the next Magic Emperor. The other one being Mario Leona. And actually, now that Fugoleon is actually fully awake now and he's active again, I actually am going to kind of throw his hat in there in the ring as well, simply because of the fact that he's one of the most powerful Magic Knights that we've seen in the entire series, especially after what he did the last time we saw him, and the fact that he has a flame spirit now. And on top of that, we know that being the next Magic Emperor is a goal of his. So actually would throw his hat in the ring for that, but yeah, I think this chapter kind of solidifies the fact that Yami will be the next Magic Emperor once this entire arc's over. So after they split up into three teams, we basically follow Noelle and Noelle for the rest of the chapter. And we see basically Noelle take out an elf they run into just immediately. Like, we don't even get to see the elf do anything. He takes them out pretty quickly. And then they realize that basically there's an elf kind of basically daring them, the most powerful elf in the area, daring them to show up and challenge her. Which we end up finding out is the Compass Mage, or the Compass Elf, that we saw at the end of last chapter. And we actually got to meet her, I believe, in chapter 172. Yeah, the one that's basically was fighting their siblings. And we see the fact that she's still kind of basically tormenting Sao. Like, he's trying to fight back, but he's not really doing anything. His attacks aren't hitting her because her mana is just too great that it's basically deflecting his attacks right away from her. So basically he's, terrified. He's still trying to attack her. She basically just goes on the offensive, and just as she's about to kill him off finally, Noelle and Noelle actually come in. Noelle uses his Mercury magic to protect Solid, and then Noelle comes in and basically uses her Water Dragon attack to attack the elf, but she uses her Compass magic to basically direct the attack away. And you know what is actually kind of interesting to see? The fact that we see that the elf actually had to use her Compass magic to deflect the attack. Because with a few pages earlier when we saw Solid basically trying to attack her, we saw that his attacks are naturally missing the elf going all around her, simply because of the fact that her mana was just too great that it made the attacks miss on purpose. But when it came to Noelle, she had to deflect the attack with her own attack, simply because of the fact that Noelle has grown that much stronger as a character that she's actually able to fight back, despite the fact that the elf's mana is overpowering her own. And this actually, like I said, this actually just goes to show that she actually has grown, and it plays into the foreshadowing I mentioned earlier on in the video. And we see that in this part of the chapter that her other two siblings are starting to notice the fact that she's actually has changed and she's grown. That she's not the same weak, timid little sibling that they used to bully in the beginning of the series. That she's actually become like a full magic knight, and she actually has the strength to fight on her own at this point. Anyway, after the two of them show up, Nebra actually decides to basically use her mist magic to give the four of them a chance to escape, because she doesn't think the four of them can actually take on this elf. But the elf actually uses her Compass magic to basically get rid of the mist and strike a few hits on Noelle. Kind of taking him out of the fight, but not really. Like, he's still ready to fight, but you can see that he's actually visibly injured. And it's at this point where we see that basically the one that is most active and the one that's most ready to do battle against the elf is Noelle at this point. And Noelle actually notices this, and he actually basically calls out to Noelle and says, "Get ready to show her what you're made of." Basically, like, he basically tells her that she's going to be the one fighting the elf. Mano a mano. He's going to help out a little bit, but it's mostly going to be her taking on the elf by herself. And you know what? Noelle actually kind of surprises me in this scene, because despite the fact that I know that at this point he actually kind of acknowledges the fact that Noelle is actually useful, that she's actually able to control her magic now, and she's not in the embarrassment that he usually thought she is, you would think that Noelle at this point would want to fight this elf by himself, that he'd be telling Ultimatum to stand down or to get out of there while he takes on the elf by himself. But the fact that he kind of realizes that he actually might need Noelle's help, if not that, kind of implying that he's actually going to let Noelle take on the elf by herself, just goes to show that he also kind of grew as a character. He's not the same guy who wants to do everything by himself, doesn't want any help from anyone else anymore. He's willing to accept help from others when he knows that he needs it. You know what? I'm actually really hoping in the next chapter that we actually do get to see Noelle fight off against the elf by herself. Simply because of the fact that we've already seen the scene before. We've already seen these type of chapters before for Noelle, where we see her character kind of grow in strength. Like, she finds a new power that she never knew she had before, and we see her basically use that power to help out in a fight. But each time we see these kind of chapters for her, each time we see these moments of growth for Noelle, we never actually see her defeat the enemy herself. She usually either, does something really impressive, maybe lands a hit on a person, like when she learned how to use the Water Dragon magic. But we've actually never seen her defeat a person by herself. So this actually is a good moment to see not only has she grown from the character she used to be, but this is actually a good moment to finally give her her own win. But that's pretty much all that happened in the chapter. Now, we did actually get this kind of funny moment between Yami and Zora earlier on in the chapter when the two teams met up. But it was just really basically the two of them kind of, seeing the two of them interact for the first time on screen. Wasn't really that important. Also, we did get to see the fact that Zora actually was a member of Noelle and Noelle's team, but he decided to split off by himself, simply because of the fact that I guess he believes that he would work better alone than working with them. And he still, he has his hatred towards royals, and despite the fact that I'm pretty sure he's fine with Noelle at this point, he probably doesn't want to be around Noelle too much. Also, I'm a little upset about the fact that we didn't get to see Mereoleona at all in the chapter. I figured that she would still be on the equal with them, healing up, and that she would actually be useful in the chapter. But we don't see her at all. I'm guessing they stopped somewhere to drop her off, let her heal up. And then later on in the arc, we'll actually see her come back and then, help out in the fight. Maybe, see the three lion siblings team up for an epic battle against some elves. Looking forward to that. But yeah, it's pretty much all that happened in the chapter. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.